Let's make a start. There are still going to be people coming in, but we've got a relatively short amount of time, given how much we want to just talk through. In terms of today, just a reminder that if you want to ask questions, please use the Q&A function. If you want to chat, use the chat function. So given how many of you are on the call, we're not going to be able to scroll through and use the chat to find the questions in there and the Q&A. So please do use the Q&A button if you want to do the Q&A. And to save you one question that we do tend to get several times, we will be circulating the slides. So you don't need to write down everything that's on the slides. You will be getting those, and we will also make sure that you get a recording as well, so that you have got that. So I'm really thrilled that we're here today, and I'll introduce the panel in a moment. But my name is Simon Blake, and just before I introduce Toyosi and Nick and ask them to say a bit about themselves, we're launching today a new course, or we're talking to you today about a new course and benefits package for mental health first aid. But some of you will be very, very familiar with Mental Health First Aid and Mental Health First Aid England, but some of you may not be. So Mental Health First Aid as a concept was first developed in Australia and really was designed with that same first aid principle about first responder, understanding signs and symptoms, developing a language and understanding of stigma, and then knowing how to respond and to signpost. In 2004, the concept came over to the UK, or maybe slightly earlier than that, initially from government, for the National Institute for Mental Health in England, and then later became a social enterprise 15 years ago in 2017. So there have been various iterations of the Mental Health First Aid programme, but what's really important for us and for this is that we really are working at the preventative end as well as trying to ensure early intervention. So developing your understanding around mental health first aid, in order that we can support the public mental health, promote positive mental health. At Mental Health First Aid England, our mission is to train 1 in 10 of the adult population. And the reason that we have identified that as our mission is we believe that will create the culture change which we know is needed for people to feel comfortable and confident to both ask for help but also to offer help. And I say that particularly because I think we so often emphasize the culture of encouraging people to ask for help, yet we know that's one of the hardest things that people might be able to do when they are feeling unwell, or when we are feeling unwell. It's not about other people, it's about all of us. So really trying to develop that culture of care, that culture of support, that culture of understanding in order to be able to address mental health. So with that as a little bit of background, I'm delighted that today we've got two brilliant people who are part of the panel, and I'll ask Toyosi if you want to introduce yourself first.
Thank you, Simon. Hi everyone, I'm Toyosi Deloitte. I'm one of the workplace delivery leads. So I work primarily with the client delivery team, and we connect with workplaces that require mental health training. So we provide consultations and we provide support based on the needs of workplaces. And we also ensure that all employees have the best learning experience in order to become effective MHFAiders. So that's me.
Thanks, Toyosi. And Nick, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, quite daunting talking to so many people. So yes, I'm a trainer. I'm part of the national training team for MHFA England, and I run my own training company called JJS Limited, delivering sort of MHFA products and also suicide first aid courses. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and yeah, it's just good to have an opportunity to talk about actually the need for this training and why we're here. So thank you, Simon.
Thanks very much, Nick. So I jumped the gun on some of this earlier, but I'll just repeat a little bit. We've been delivering for 15 years. We're part of a global network that have trained over 5 million people since its inception. In England alone, we've worked with over 20,000 employers, providing that evidence-based training. And we work in a way which means we've got qualified instructor members who deliver, and Nick will just say a bit more about himself when he comes to his bit later about how to run. So we don't employ all of the instructors. Instructors deliver on independently or as part of an organisation. And we are a social enterprise. So all of our work, any money is all ploughed back into the mission and purpose of the organisation. So that's really important for me, is recognising that as a social enterprise we can both make money where we can, but also to ensure that money doesn't prevent people from accessing training and support where it needn't. So Toyosi, I'm going to hand over to you to just run through the new course. So welcome everybody, and enjoy the next 40 minutes or so. You're on mute.
Yes, thank you. Today we're going to be giving an insight into the new and improved mental health first aid course and our unique and unrivaled support package for mental health first aiders. So we understand that being an effective mental health first aider requires learning and support that goes beyond the training. And so mental health first aid training doesn't just stop when the course comes to an end. So these improvements will build lasting confidence, that will provide further learning opportunities, but it'll also support MHFAiders so they can help shape healthier workplaces with a thriving culture. So now we're going to show you a short video about why
work done well is good for our mental health. But post-pandemic, life has changed a lot. Stress, burnout, anxiety and depression are affecting millions. And we're all realising how important well-being at work is. MHFA England offers mental health first aid training that is evidence-based and taught by experts, empowering people to support their colleagues, to get the mental health support they need. We don't just stop at training. We offer MHFAiders ongoing support with 24/7 digital resources and learning included, turning a course into a community, reducing stigma, raising awareness, together. Mental well-being isn't just a right, it's good for business too. Growing an inclusive and positive culture, improving productivity, safeguarding our future. Ready to transform your workplace? Join our community. Visit mhfaengland.org to learn more.
So I hope that was quite helpful. So as mentioned in the video, it has been a tough few years, and in the midst of a global pandemic, we've had an economic uncertainty and changes to the way we work. There is now a greater need than ever to support the mental health and well-being of staff. According to the Centre for Mental Health, it is estimated that as many as 10 million people will need mental health support as a result of the pandemic. So Deloitte reports that mental illness costs UK employers up to £56 billion a year. So whether it's through lost productivity, sickness days, or physical impact, mental health costs seriously hit the bottom line. And beyond the statistics, people are facing everyday issues that don't make life any easier to manage. So that's where MHF England can help. So over the years, we've been exploring ways in which we can continue to meet the needs of workplaces and MHFAiders. We spent 15 years generating conversations around workplace mental health, and we understand that being an effective MHFAider requires additional learning and support beyond the training. So we really wanted to raise the bar and ensure that we offer ongoing support to help MHFAiders feel very confident, but also feel empowered post the training. So the new course provides a greater focus on the role of the MHFAider. There's an increased emphasis on self-care, and we also have detailed discussion on the boundaries of the MHFAider role and where this responsibility ends. So to summarise, there's plenty of support provided, there is access to a much wider community of learners, and learners also complete the course with confidence to be MHFAiders. So being an MHFAider is so much more than just the course itself. As MHFAiders support the people around them, they will also need to adapt to new situations and often require support themselves. And that's why post-training support is really central to MHFA England's philosophy. So when they complete the training, learners will receive a certificate that's valid for 3 years, and they'll also become part of England's leading community of MHFAiders. They'll also receive 24/7 digital support through the MHFAiders support app to help them deal through the challenges that come with providing mental health support. Through their training and certification, MHFAiders become part of a leading worldwide workplace wellbeing community who receive access to various training resources, ongoing learning opportunities, as well as exclusive events. Being a part of England's largest community of trained MHFAiders allows for networking, it allows for the sharing of best practice, and also the space to really expand on previous learning as well. So confidence. Confidence can be built in workplace wellbeing journeys, and it also means that they can grow their skills well beyond the training course. And confidence is naturally built over time, and skills are acquired and they're nurtured. So it's really important that confidence is there from the beginning of first aider roles. And with the new and improved course and ongoing support that's provided, confidence should hopefully be sustained as well throughout. So as mentioned briefly earlier, MHFAiders get automatic 24/7 digital support through the MHFAiders support app. And with the app, first aiders will be able to keep their learning and their confidence alive, and also quickly reference various tools and resources. So the app's core features include logging conversations securely, making reflective notes while protecting confidentiality. We also have a conversation tracking tool where you can share insights and set reminders for wellbeing check-ins. We also have a 24/7 tech support service called Shout, and this is where MHFAiders can find advice and reassurance on any conversation, and it can also be used to support their wellbeing after a very difficult conversation as well. We have a resource library of toolkits. It provides guidance, there's animations, and there's core mental health concepts that help support the role. And last but not least, we have a signposting database through Hub of Hope. And this is to find local and national mental health services for additional support when it's needed. So as you can see with the various screenshots here, we have a really simple aesthetic. The screens are really easy to use, they're very easy to navigate, and they really help support the process and the role of a first aider. So what does this mean for our current MHFAiders who have recently or perhaps taken the course quite a while ago? So by the end of the year, we're going to be introducing 2 different routes for assistant MHFAiders so that they can gain access to the ongoing support package that provides benefits for them as well. So route 1 is the refresher course, and this is where MHFAiders can take a refresher course to access this support package. So just for a bit of context, the refresher course is a course we recommend mental health first aiders that attend every 3 years, and it's to renew their skills and update their knowledge. So if your MHFAiders are eligible for the refresher course, they can take this route to access the support package. And then we also have the second route, and route 2 is the option for existing MHFAiders that are not quite ready to do the refresher course, but would also still like to access the support package and benefits by making a one-off purchase. So there'll be more details to follow. We don't really have confirmed dates to share with you at this stage, but more information will be shared in the upcoming weeks.
Over to me. Thank you very much, Toyosi, for sharing that, and I'm pleased to see the questions are coming in, and we'll come to Q&A in a moment. So we wanted to just give you the opportunity to understand a bit about the new MHFA course in practice, and so who better than Nick Ellis. Nick has been an instructor for over 10 years, a national trainer since 2018. Our national trainers are the people who train our instructor members, and has trained over 5,000 people. So Nick, would you just talk us through a little bit about your experience of delivering mental health first aid, and also then just a bit about new course?
Thank you, Simon. Well, yeah, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are in the world or the country. I'm sat in France at the moment, so I'm going to add another country to where we are at the moment. It's very nice to see you all here and listen. I mean, Simon's a very good question about about the impact of the course and why we do it. Like Simon said, I've been delivering this course for a while, and I originally got into it because I was sat where my delegates were sat a while ago doing the 2-day course myself. I come from an emergency services background, and do you know what? I just wanted to learn more. This was something that I was dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and I was desperate to find more. I did the 2-day course, and actually it blew me away. What I found fascinating was it sparked something in me. I would love to say I remember everything of that original 2-day course, but I don't. But because it was so much coming at me around the information, and do you know, I just haven't stopped learning since. And I got the opportunity to start teaching a few years later, and I've absolutely loved it. A really wise person told me years ago, find something to do that you love to do, and you never have to work a day in your life. And it's just, there we go. It's come true for me, because actually this is something that's important to me. This is something I care about. And it's not just for work. This is very much for my community, for my home life, with my partner, with my kids, with my friends. This is not just a skill set that we use on a one-off. And actually, when you think about the impact of the course and what's happened over the years, apart from having it firsthand, doing it myself, using the skills within a few weeks, actually, the amount of messages I've got through the years, I've just actually commenting on how the course has affected them, right up to, someone saying that actually walking home from the course that night, overnight, they came across someone, and a week ago they wouldn't have had a conversation with them, but they stopped and had a chat. And that's what this is all about. It's about just doing first aid. It's not about trying to be a counsellor, it's not trying to fix things, but it's having those skills just to have a conversation. And see, the words first aid, I find it fascinating. I don't know about yourselves, but I've learned first aid, physical first aid, from a very young age through scouting. As a Boy Scout, I was learning how, by the age of 10, I could do resuscitation through doing CPR on training we used to do every year. Age 16, actually, I came across someone seriously considering ending their life, and no one had ever trained me what to say and what to do. And that terrified me. And actually, these skills, I always say to people in my courses, it's not rocket science, otherwise I couldn't teach it. It's basic skills, encouraging you to have a conversation. And of all the slides that's shown, for me, the one that really stands out that Toyosi showed was confidence. Because actually, most of you can already have a conversation with people. We don't need to teach you to do that. But what I need to do is encourage you to have the confidence that you're not going to make things worse. You could potentially say, like, let's have a conversation. And for me, really, that's what it's all about. And it's just that important part of life. And actually, I was very, very fortunate enough to be able to pilot the course. Now, I'm just talking to those of you out there who have done the existing course, the course that was launched in 2018. And if you're like me, you love it. Very passionate about that course. I absolutely love it. And do you know what? Coming to the pilot, I've got to be completely honest, I was really nervous about it. Because actually, this is somebody changing something I absolutely care about. And then I delivered it in the pilot. And I remember ringing my partner on the way home. I was saying to Simon last week that I was walking home after that first day of delivering it. And I actually rang up and said, do you know what? It works. It works. So listen, I would say to all of you who know the existing course, this product hasn't lost any of the skills, what we teach, but it just repackaged it in a newer format, concentrating on those skills. And actually that for me is what's really, really important. Simon, I don't know if I've spoken too long or not enough, or I probably should just hand back. And is there anything you want to ask?
Perfect. Do you want to put your mute on though, Nick? Because otherwise we'll echo for people. That was absolutely perfect. I think Richie's just summed it up. Delivering from the heart, authentically, how every public speaker should be. Well done. There you go. Richie said what I would have said. Thank you, Richie. I just wanted to, before we go into Q&A, to just give you a quote from somebody who's done the course. So Evan Judge, who's a health and safety manager for Compass Group, just said the refreshed course has kept all the best elements of the previous version of the course, but has introduced more practice using algae in realistic conversations. What I found most beneficial and realistic was the case, or interesting, was the case studies and the videos that brought the written material to life. Having worked with MHF England to train and introduce over 160 mental health first aiders into our business, and we're continuing the journey and have already planned 2 courses using the new course content. I know that our next mental health first aids will get even more of the course because of the new content and introduction of the supporter app. So, just wanted to give you a flavour of somebody who had experience to just add to what Nick had said. But we brilliantly have got 76 questions in the chat. Toyosi's going to just identify some of the key ones that are in here. I'm conscious that some of you are asking very specific questions about the app. So we'll just ask you with those specific questions, if you're able to please email customer support. We'll put the address in the box, not the workplace email, because that's very much about if you're inquiring about the course rather than about specifics attached to it. And we will make sure that you are able to do it. And a reminder, we are not in a position to be able to go through the chat because it's going too quickly. If you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A. Thank you. We've got plenty of time for questions, so we'll be able to run through loads of them, which is great.
Yeah, we've got quite a few here. So the first one is, what's a good number of MHFAiders to train in an organisation? Would you suggest 10% to match your mission of 10% of the adult population?
So the short answer is yes, would recommend 10%, but would also then say, you know your organisation well, and we would, sometimes it might need to be more, depending on whether you're dispersed, whether you've got frontline staff, whether you're all sat in an office. So it really depends on your model. So if you wanted to find out more, the best thing to do would be to contact us and be able to have that conversation. But as a broad purpose, as a broad philosophy, sort of 1 in 10 is a good yardstick to have. Just before you go on to the next question, Tracy, there are a number of emails which are coming through, which I think are themed about, can this be accessed virtually? Yes, it can. One which is, can I get a certificate from this webinar? No, unfortunately, this is an information webinar, not a certified course. Will the youth product be changing? Yes, that's coming on the line next. And then booking refresher training. All of the information's on the website. There are a number of people running refresher training. Will you get the slides? Absolutely. Yes, there'll be a recording. And also then the other bit about, forgotten what the last one was. Sorry, you have to go ask me a question, Toyosi.
No worries. So another question is, I am already an MHFAider. Do I have access to this app?
So as Toyosi said earlier, there will be 2 routes to be able to access this. Depending on how long ago you did the course, you might think, I want to do the refresher course, and that will then access the benefits package that goes with it. So it is the app, but I just want to sort of emphasize there's also about learning development and networking opportunities as well. So one would be to do the refresher. So if you did the course 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, you might think, actually, I want to do the refresher. And then if you want to do just access the benefits, package to be just a one-off payment rather than doing the course, and it's going to be £25. So we're not talking about a lot of money. It's £25 for the 3 years, but information about both of those things will come through in the next period. And I just saw an instructor member say, do I get access to the app? You already have access to the app if you're an instructor member, and have had for a while. So please contact customer services if you haven't got it already. And a reminder to, if you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A as the chat's just moving too quickly for us.
Simon, do you mind if I just comment on, and it answers another question in the chat as well? Do you know the question you asked about how many first aiders do you need in an organisation? I think the thing to also remember is looking after our own our own first aiders as well within an organisation. I always talk about first aiding the first aiders. And someone asks about, you know, does the new course cover this sort of looking after and self-care and boundaries? The simple answer to that is absolutely. And that's one of the biggest, for me, one of the biggest additions is there's a real look at boundaries as a mental health first aider, looking after ourselves mental health first aiders, but also looking after each other. And there's a whole new element around supportive note taking within the course that I think is absolutely superb. So I just want to jump in. I didn't know if you'd seen that, but I thought that might just be useful to add in.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. It's always good to have more than one person here, more than one brain being able to do it.
There's so many questions coming in. There's another one here. Is it £25 for a whole workplace, or is that per individual?
It's for per individual for a 3-year period.
How do you become an instructor?
Depends whether you want to become a youth instructor or an adult instructor. The youth instructor courses there were some that are in the diary and running, and the information is on the website. The adult course will be relaunching. Having done this work, the course we've got to do some work to update that, so that will be relaunching next year. And again, all the information about eligibility is on the website, because we have got some specific criteria which people need to meet in order to be able to do those.
There's also a couple of questions here about the cost of the refresher course.
So the RRP of the refresher course will be £150, and so but again, the details of courses, and there may be some variation depending on if people have got some support or local funding, etc. So that the model that we work on, there may be some slight differences, but that's the sort of area plus, and that includes the benefits package when we get on to the next stage of the
Yeah, and just to add to that also, if you are an organisation or a workplace that are interested in a bulk sort of course of the refresher course with the support package, that will be 2,400 plus VAT. We also have another question about, sorry, they're just going so fast. I work for NHS England and undertook MHFA training a few years ago. I then attended and updated a refresher course earlier this year. I've also undertaken the trainer course a while back. Would we have to pay, or do I have to pay as an individual?
So there's lots of information in there. Can I ask that with those sorts of quite specific information that we're going through customer services with it, just so that I don't give the wrong information? And I think what I'm keen to do over the next 10 minutes or so is to think about some of the broader questions which would be applying to people. If you've got specifics, please do contact the please contact customer services, including specifics around logging into the app. People will be able to talk you through in there. And yes, Remy, slides will get sent via email.
Another question here, will there be downloadable resources to access?
Sorry, say that one again, Therese.
Will there be downloadable resources for us to download and access?
So there's downloadable resources which are already on the website. And then my technical brain's going, can you download stuff from an app? So I'm not sure exactly what's downloadable in terms of print off, which is what I think of when I say downloadable, but there is a range of information which is available through the app, but also a range of resources on the website.
We've got another question here. Are you able to coordinate remote MHFA training for staff based in, I've just lost it. Let me try and find it again. Okay, that's gone. I will try and find that one shortly. Another one is, do you have any idea of when the line manager training will become available for existing IMs to upskill and deliver?
In terms of IMs being done, that will be next year. But again, so don't have an exact date on that yet, but it will be next year.
Lovely. And also another one, is there a contact email where we can ask more specific questions regarding our personal training needs and fees? I think you've touched upon that, Simon, isn't it?
So I think if you contact customer services, and Hannah, could you just remind me of the exact email address in the chat so I can say that info@mhfaengland.org. Please, if you can send to info@mhfaengland.org, and when you do it, just if you're anything like me, just check, say mental health first aid. We get a lot of people saying they contacted us, and when we look back, it's MFHA, so mhfaengland.org, and then if you're a workplace at address as well. Can I just answer another one while I'm just here? So at the moment, we've got two both courses. The new course went live yesterday, so people are running the new course. But as with everything, you've got a transition period. So there will be some courses where people are still using the old material for a transition period. So it's worth asking and being very specific when you ask, but all of the courses which are on the website are the new course.
We've got a really good question here. How would you recommend choosing which staff become MHFAiders in an organisation?
So, do you want to put yourself on? Yeah, perfect. So I think the really important thing is that people who do the course want to do the course, that they volunteered to do the course, that they've got the belief in it and is at all levels and is representative of the communities that you are working in and working with and the organisation. So that you've got, so if you're a chief exec and you want to go to the mental health first aider, there's somebody that you want to go to. If you're working on front of reception, you can see somebody that you would want to go to. Whoever you are, that you have some choice is the really important part of this, and that people have got the opportunity to actually do the work. We do have some people say, well, I trained, but actually I'm not able to be a mental health first aider really, because the way that my work is organised, it's really because of the way that it's organised, I'm not able to do the role. So I think it's really about just trying to, again, really understand your organisation, your context, but think about, do the people want to do it? Are they going to be able to be approached and approachable? And what does that then mean for the workplace and all of the employees who might be wanting to access it?
Simon, can I just add something there as well, if that's okay? And I think, Simon, you summarised it brilliantly. Working with organisations across the time, the thing that has come across heavily on this is where, like Simon said, you have people in different roles. And it's interesting that people sometimes would rather go outside of their team to have a conversation than inside the team. Make sure that people are, like you say, willing to do the course, be volunteers, and make sure they're informed what the course contains. You know, on the MHFA England website, there's easily downloadable flyers on what's the course content. I think that's the thing people need to be aware of, is what is the course content. But we've got to remember, we're training first aiders, not counsellors. So when we talk about time, you know, people got to remember that actually we're not talking about necessarily needing to spend hours with someone, but maybe minutes in a first aid environment. Obviously, if you can give more time, great, but never let time be a reason not to have a conversation. So let's have those conversations, and actually I think that's important as well.
I'm conscious we've got quite a couple of minutes left. There was another one, which was, how do you encourage your employer to invest in mental health first aiders?
I mean, it's really, it will depend, won't it, about some will want to see it from a bottom line perspective, some will as in financial, what's the economic benefit, and Deloitte says that for every £5 invested, you get £5 return. Deloitte, as Toyosi said at the beginning, identified that it costs poor mental health costs 56 billion to UK business each year. So from an economic perspective, absolutely clear. But there will be others who are going, actually, what's the human cost? And how do we want to support humans? And most will want a combination of two of those. So I don't think there's any one way, but really about recognizing this isn't an option. This isn't an option about whether to do stuff, it's about what you do. And I think that lots of employers, most even go as far as say most employers recognize that now, and people are in different stages of their journey. But you know, it's really, really important that we recognize that there's a moral case, there's an economic case, and there's a human case for this, and that we operate on all of those. But again, if there's lots of information on our website. There's a guide for employers, a guide for mental health first aiders, and that is there to help people. But equally, do get in touch if you want us to do anything. Tracy, shall I just sum up a bit? We've got 2 minutes left. There's a couple of questions about any fundamental changes. Yeah, at the core of this, it is about the skills. It's about algae, and it's about enabling people to have conversations. So there are absolutely some changes in the way that it's delivered, in the focus on skill development, in the focus on our own safety and well-being as people delivering the work. But what you learn is broadly the same. It's the skills to be a mental health first aider. There's information on MHFA England website, on LinkedIn, which you can have a look in relation to what's available from the course and the benefits package, and of course customer services, the info at MHFA England, and the phone number which is on there will enable you to access and to ask any specific questions. If you're having any challenges with the app and your email and things, please do contact us. There will be, there are people primed and ready to help you with those individual questions and queries. What we will do just is, because we're not going to have time to go through in either specifics or any more questions now, we'll look through and see whether there are any themes, and make sure that in the email that comes out that we try to address or tell you how to find out the answers to any of the key bits. And thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for your commitment to mental health. We've just started, I think, is the really important thing for all of us, and we need to keep going together. So thank you for all you're doing. Thanks for your interest. The slides will be sent, the recording will be sent, and we'll also try to identify any of the core questions. Have a great day.